So Piccadilly Gardens is finished. So what's next? Stay tuned and all will be revealed. Well, good afternoon everyone and welcome back to Piccadilly. And yes, Piccadilly Gardens is complete and you will see that very, very soon. But the first part of the video, I do want to go over some of the things that I had to do to make that happen. So the first up is going to be the road markings and how I cut the vinyls for that. Welcome back. So you can probably realise I'm starting on these bus stand signs there. So there's one there. Yeah, the lines do seem a little bit on the thick side. I might slim them down a little bit. We'll see how it goes. I might just leave it as it is. Now, I've done this on the Cricut machine. So obviously this is what they call smart vinyl. So you don't need a mat with this one. But the way to get this off now is to use a piece of transfer tape. And I think it's good for a couple of occasions, to be honest. So you put that over the top, kind of like that. And I'm not going to go in, I'm not going to go into great amounts of depth, but you then, using a tool kind of like this, you rub over it quite firmly. The idea like that, like that, like that. And then the general idea is then you turn it over, do the same process but face down, and then the idea would be that the vinyls then transfer to the surface that you're putting on. A little bit like a rubbing transfer you used to use with a pencil, but you use that tool I showed you. So there we are, sitting on top of the 00 gauge layout again, just in case you wondered. But that's all the vinyls on. Now, obviously, it's all very bright and a little bit in your face. I do quite like it, but it needs dulling down. And I'm going to be using, obviously, the same colour as the base that I put on originally. Now, these double yellow lines, I use a printed piece of paper. That, which I did in Publisher or Word. You can do it the same. And the hatch lines, same thing. Just make up my own grid using diagonal lines in Publisher. I think I did that. And that's that. And gratefully, you probably, I mean, I've got a varnish over the top of this before I do anything else. But I think once that's darkened down a tiny little bit more, that will blend in really well with the outside edge. I mean, at first glance, you wouldn't notice any difference. Right, so I'm just working my way through some of these fine details, getting them prepared, ready to go onto this bus board, if you like. And I thought I had some of these traffic lights by PD Marsh. They were just under £4 at the time. And there's 4 in there, just what I need. And there it is. The unit's back on the 00 gauge layout, by the way. But all that has now been weathered. And the contrast on the camera does seem quite high, but even so, I think they've dulled down even on the camera sufficiently. They're certainly a lot more dull in reality. So even down to these double yellow lines, somewhat obliterated in places. As we come across to the hatch lines, really pleased with that because that was a print, if you remember. I didn't stick all the pieces across. I did around the outside, but you know, I just used the print on this occasion. Double yellow lines turned out quite nicely there, and they come to a stop at the crossroads. And I'm guessing because when that crossroads was put in, you can see there was a darker patch ready for fresh tarmac. So I'm guessing that was the lines just were dug up, if you like, and they just come to an abrupt stop. But they seem to disappear up here and then merge back in just round the corner. I'm guessing that's more my bit now, because obviously the real thing just does just a loop. So obviously I'm going to have to put my own twist on things there, but I'm really pleased with the way that's sort of dulled down now. So what am I going to do now then? Well, I've started making this piece of hill, which is going in that gap just there. And I also need to make another little bit of hill to go here, just a little bit of a grass verge type of thing, but it slopes up ever so slightly. And probably need to make that piece of wall. I'll see if I've got any of the scrap pieces. I might just be able to do it out of that, I don't know. But obviously all the bins need to go on. The railings are made now, so they need to go on. And it's just a case of detailing things up. As you saw in a previous clip, I found the traffic lights. Okay, so just looking at the road sign in the middle there, and that I've decided to use a pin, a dressmaker's pin, i.e. one of those. And the reason for that is because over the years I've tried to use pieces of wire, and if you knock it whilst it's in situ, it just bends, and then you have a nightmare time of trying to strain it out again. Whereas a pin is rigid, it's not too far off the right thickness either, and it won't bend, and worst that'll happen is it'll just bend over, so to speak, and it'll be a bit of a lean, but it's easy to replace then. But that has worked well for me. Now, because this particular base is made of card, I literally just pushed it through to get the hole, and then I did have to snip off a bit because it's supposed to be 16 millimeters tall in N gauge. Now, where did I get the signs from? Well, you can download them from the internet if you want to, scale them and then print them off. But I got this many, many years ago from Scale Model Scenery. And as you can see, there is quite a large number of signs there. You've got 4, there's like one bank of signs, and then you've got that repeated 4 times. So there's plenty there to have a go at. And there it is. Piccadilly Gardens is finished. Bar people, I might say, and the only reason for that is because I can't find them. They've all run away. The little plastic people have run away. But I'll show you this bit first, although this isn't finished here, these 3 panels, and obviously clearly not this area. But when I do the final station approach, I'll do this area then. But you can see what I was on about. So this is like a back door, or no, a back window to Lidl, if you like, and Lidl being obviously just there. So I'm quite pleased with that. And I've done this little tunnel section inside there, so obviously that just sits in the middle, and then these pieces just sort of butt up to it. So, but let's go and have a look around the other side, shall we? Right, there we go, from the other side now. And it always was going to be a busy scene, and it is an area of Manchester after all, in my mind anyway. This is one of the more made up areas. And strangely, although it's not taken very long to do this, it seems to have been months making all the buses, the cars and the taxis. So it's nice to see all that sort of come into fruition, if you like, and seeing the original vision sort of come into life. So I'm quite pleased about that. But what have I done since the last clip, the last video? Well, I've put this mound of, or this bank in, lots of rough foliage and weeds all over the place. And the main reason was to cover up the 2 walls, the stark contrast between that wall and this wall here, even down to the spilling over of the foliage just there, just knocking that gantry. But let's have a wander across now and have a look and see what else has been done. Well, obviously the car park's gone in now, and lots of, well, 5 cars there, 5 car spaces. And we've got this tunnel. If I just remove the bridge there, so hopefully you can see there is a bit of a scene behind there. Sorry, let's remove the bus, by the way, not remove the bridge. I quite like that bus turning there, and if you notice the wheels, I printed the wheels so they were turning, and it gives the impression that bus has just come from somewhere else, and I quite like that. But looking at road signs there, so we've got road signs for one way, and those were made by using a dressmaker's pin and then sticky vinyl over the top. And then we've got the trees, all the trees, there's 5 of them altogether. They're all made from seafoam. But the real place does seem to have the trees look as if they're growing straight out the pavement. Well, these squares must be covers, and it's hard to say without actually going there, but there must be soil underneath there for the tree to physically grow. But I suppose by putting the covers over the top, it just makes the area look a little bit more slick, doesn't it? So that's that. Obviously, we've got bus shelters coming in now, and all these sort of digital advertisement boards, advert boards. And there's another road sign just there, which is sort of turn left or road bears left. And railings and bins, and there are loads of railings, and there are bins all over the place. There's another bin just there and another one there, and you'll probably spot them as we go further down the road. So there's more railings there. All these signs, or the road markings, these and those stagger lines there, and the buses only, they're all vinyl. And when we come to this area here, these zebra crossing, those were painted using masking tape, as were the road repairs, and there are a fair few road repairs all along. So you could probably spot those as we're going down. Now, the Belisha beacons, I quite like these Belisha beacons, I'll be honest. I don't know, it's a spot of orange, but again, made from a dressmaker's pin, obviously painted black and white stripe, and then the top bits were made from a bit of blue tack, just rolled up in your fingers and then stuck on painted orange, obviously. And then this little building just here is a toilet, as I've said. So anybody coming out from Lidl or Starbucks just there can cross over to catch the bus, the toilet as you're coming over the road. You've got to laugh, haven't you? But anyway, so there's more road repairs just there, or path repairs in that case. And there's another sign which is 30 miles an hour, and another set of signs just there, which are the no entry signs. Now, this area here, we've got the box, which is printed from a piece of paper and stuck on, and then dabbed over with a stipple dry brush to make the stippling effect. And then we've got traffic lights, and these are PD Marsh white metal traffic lights, and they're great, but you breathe, they bend. It does feel that way so much. You know, I've knocked them so much. So what I've actually done is glued them to the wall now, in the hope that's going to make them a little bit more strong. But those two seem to be fine because they're not so vulnerable in where they are. But you know, it's the way things are. But there we go. That's pretty much the whole scene. And you might even notice there's some foliage down the back of the wall there as well to help with the whole of that view just there. So I'm quite liking the way the trees sort of tie up with what's above, just to make that look quite avant-garde, I suppose, for a bus area, bus terminal. And with the trees, I think it does sort of make it a really nice area to be. But anyway, that's done and finished. So what is next? Well, I've been teasing. What is this new project going to be? Well, it's on the 00 gauge layout. People have been asking me, when's the next video coming? What's happened to the 00 gauge layout? Are you doing anything with it? Well, there's going to be a whole host of videos coming very, very soon with this, because basically I'm getting a bit fed up with it as it is. The room is about 20 feet long and it's about 10-11 foot wide. This layout is about 5 foot wide from here through to the back wall. So you can appreciate this layout is taking up a good third of the room. Now, I've got a whole load of dead space in there which can't be used, and I'm just getting a bit fed up with the fact I've got little space and there's piles of junk everywhere, and I just want to get it tidied up. So I'm proposing then that this become a dog bone. So there will be a big loop there and a big loop there. So the whole layout will go that way and the settee will come in the middle. So there'll be a big loop there, and then all the tracks converge down the back, which means this section, the scenic section, has to go. Now, it can go in one of three ways. I can scrap it and salvage the bits off it, ready for the new layout. I can use this and rebuild it, so sort of change it, modify it, all that sort of stuff, and put it at the back, add to it, because I would need a bit more at the front, and sort of put that at the back. This fiddle yard is going to go down. If you saw Graham Falston's videos before he rebuilt Lakeside, he had big ramps going down the sides. That's the type of thing I'm thinking of. The ins and outs of it, I'm not totally sure about. But the other option is that somebody take this off my hands. Now, I can't let it go free because I need to replace these points, maybe the frog juices underneath, which are getting more and more increasingly expensive. So I wouldn't be asking a lot, but it would basically be to replace those points and frog juices. That's pretty much about it, really, to be honest with you. So it would be this bit from here through to where the end of the scenic board is, and anything that is included on the layout itself. Now, I'll give you a bit of a tour. I have gone over with a misting spray, just water, to refresh the foliage a little bit because it was looking a bit dusty, a bit tired. And so what I've done is actually sort of brighten things up a little bit. Hopefully you can see and understand why that has happened. But that's why I've got white glue here. And since having to record this a few times, it's actually started to go clear already. So that will dry clear and that won't be a problem. Now, if I take you down here, there is a tent and a campfire, and the campfire has set the tent on fire. So that was the idea of all of this. That was smoke. I can't remember exactly how it went. There was a bridge going across here and the layout used to end there. But the bridge is long gone, I'm afraid, purely because when I changed it, I put the bridge in a box and it just got broken in the box. This was the viaduct I spent ages on. Every single little brick I cut out individually and stuck them on. Yes, I know, it was all a bit mad. But, you know, that's been a bit broken there. So it just needs a bit of TLC. But that was basically it. I never got round to doing the river. So resin would have gone in there and created a river scene. I had to cut this back purely because of the Rapido APT, basically. The nose swung out quite a large way, or a long way, and this was in the way, being right up here. So I cut it right back with extra, with the idea of putting a wall in there, but never got round to it. So it just needs some reworking. You can see there's gaps in there again. Just needs a little bit of TLC. There's a gap down through there. But all of this would be included, all the buffer stops, the barrels. It's got a broken platform, intentional, with loads of weeds in here. The bridge would be staying. That was a kit, an MDF kit, I think. It's got a bit bent and dilapidated, but the idea of it was that it was rusty and old. And you can see there was one of my first 3D printed projects, and the signs, that was the very first thing I made. I made that, and then I think somebody got in touch with me and asked me to make some for them. But all this path going down here, the booth would be included, the lights are included. Now, I disconnected the lights when I turned the layout into a roundy, so I don't know whether they work. So it's, if you want the layout, it's up to you to get those working. There's no power supply for them. Seats, very run down boards, and Charlie just needs a bit of glue to his feet. That fell off, it needs gluing back on again, or even the posts replacing. That was intentionally broken, as if vandals had got in, and again they'd destroyed that advertising board. Here there was a signal which was causing problems, so I just removed it in the end. There's slabs been removed, and there's one at the other end of the platform, so the hush could go through. That was basically it, but the idea was that there was a slab being knocked off, if you like. And again, this tunnel, it was every single little brick, you know. And there was a field going off into the distance, and there's a stile going off into the field there, and a fence which was all made. Okay, and there's obviously a path running down here, all the way down, deliberately run down and dilapidated. That was the whole point of the layout. And then back down to here, and the station, this booth with Sam and Charlie, they were the ones who sort of looked after the station. So you could buy your ticket in there and then catch the train. A little sign on the train, no entry on there. So it's had some life. It's got a bit of a backstory as well. All this here would be included, all the coaling stage, all that sort of stuff. All that would be included. Okay. Now, there are some things which are not included. I do want to reclaim that. This, and there's another one just at the end here. In fact, technically this isn't connected to the layout as such, because that's for the light. And I do want to hang on to that. That's this, because I do want to have an LED strip over the new layout. So that's where we are. Oh, I think just to explain this bit, I think if you remember back in 2020, 21, when we had lockdown, when the layout was built, this track joined up with that track, and there was a point going down here, and there was another point going off to a siding down there. This was a blocked off tunnel, and there was a buffer stop. Now, through there, the track came through to a traverser, and I think I've still got that. I can't be 100% sure, and I can't. If I have got it, I don't know what condition it'd be in, because it would have been in the shed. So if you're interested, let me know, and I'll see if I can find it. No guarantees on that though, no guarantees. So there's an extension lead which is attached to the back. That would obviously be removed, but anything electrically connected to make the layout work, so either the DCC bus, I'm pretty sure there are frog juicers under every point. They would be included. Any terminal blocks would be included. All the electronics basically underneath the board would be included. Now, if you've seen the videos, you'll have seen trains running through here slowly and at high speed. Now, assuming the track was clean, I've very rarely had any problems with this section. I'm not lying, but that's no guarantees that if you put a locomotive on here and it's stalled on the points, I can't guarantee that's not going to happen. But with the frog juicers on here, it did make for reliable running. And I'm not going to lie, it was at the back there that I had issues with derailments and things like that, particularly in these corner areas over there and over there. You know, this middle section was absolutely fine, but there's no guarantees it will be. You know, that's entirely up to you. So if there's anything that's not working, it will be your responsibility to get that working. I have to make that clear. It is just going to be this scenic section of the layout up to that board there and then down here. It does not include anything underneath. No supports. That cupboard, or that cube it sits on, that is not included. It does not come with any controllers, so you'd have to provide that. The controller point is just there, so you'd have to find a way of making that work. It does not include this board or any of the stock. That's locomotives, trains, coaches or wagons. None of that's included. The Piccadilly Yard, again, with none of the stock, none of the trains is included. It's not. And this board is not included again with any of that at the back there. It's not included. It is literally just this bit here. Okay. So hopefully that's fairly clear on what is included, what's not included. But I think it would be a shame to destroy it. But as I've said before, if nobody wants it, that is one of the options that I've got available to me. But I can't mess about with this. The wood for the new layout is coming on Tuesday, which is in 2 days away. It's Sunday today, Sunday the 10th. So the wood is coming on the 12th. So if you are interested in the layout and you understand that it does need work, and if you understand that if there's anything not working, it'll be down to you to make it work. It's nothing to do with me. You've paid for it. It's sold as seen. That is basically it. As long as you understand that and you want it, get in touch with me by Friday the 15th of August 2025, obviously, which is 5 days away. And the reason for that is because it's in the way. I can't really start doing an awful amount on the new bit whilst the settee's over there, and the settee needs to come in the middle. And I can't put that in the middle until this is gone. So hopefully you can understand the reasons for that. I've got 3 weeks left of the holiday, and I want the track down, and I would like trains running by the end of the holiday. It's a big ask, but that's what I'm aiming for. So if you're interested, get in touch, Piccadilly Model Railway @gmail.com. All the details are in the description, along with the email address if you can't remember it. So I'll just say, have a think. If you're interested, just talk to me and we can see and take it from there. Okay. So I think I am going to leave the video there. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed seeing how Piccadilly Gardens has come to a finish, if you like, and how the new layout down here is going to develop, and the possibility of an opportunity to take this and develop it for yourself as well. So anyway, you take care of yourself, and I will speak to you very, very soon. Bye for now. 66,186. Now this is a nice surprise. Tornado. Now I've not seen that in the flesh either. Absolutely fantastic. I'm going to stop it there because there's a kid right in front of me.